We are overtaken with blessings. We're blessed in the city. We're blessed in the country. We're blessed in the basket. We're blessed in the store. Showers of blessing, as we used to sing it in the old church, showers of blessing are here. We are in the flow. We're in the agreement. Oh my God, anything can happen today. And it's all good. Let's give God a shout of praise in this place. Yeah. Just remain standing. Let's roll this, please. Woo!
Good morning and welcome to Metron. Metron is measure or sphere of influence, and we want to help you find your Metron through motivation, enlightenment, transcendence, renewal, outreach, and network. Today is your day to find your Metron.
Yay! Oh, welcome, beautiful people. Y'all look so good. What, did y'all get some work done? You lost some weight, taking vitamins? What's up? Is it just the good lighting in the theater? Everybody looks good in the dark? Is that what it is? Whatever it is, it's working. All the above. I'm so glad you are all here today. And man, we had an opening prayer and affirmation, and there's just it's here. I don't have to convince you. We're already in the flow. I've thoroughly enjoyed Shantae Can this month. She's and this will. I'm believing that it will not be her last time with us. She has an open invitation. She just feels like one of us. She knows how to get in that. Like last week was in that worship flow, and everybody loves that. She can be groovy and jazzy too, which is good because I love to worship, but you got to be cool. And she is, and I'll let her tell you whatever she wants to do about this. I've been on her this month, like bring some product. So she brought some today, but she says she's giving it away. I said, well, so I'll let her tell you whatever she wants to do about that. And if that, when somebody gives you something, that means you give something back. But but that's off the record. You know what I mean? That's under the table. But she's coming to be a psalmist for us again today. So once again, would you please welcome the awesome Shantae Can. Shantae! Welcome.
Good to be here, guys, again. I'm definitely going to have to come back and visit you guys. I've had such an amazing time. Thank you for having me again. For this last little session, I picked a couple of originals, some that I haven't released yet, but there are a couple of fun songs that could use some crowd participation. So I'm going to teach you your parts, and whenever you feel like when you're supposed to come in, you can just interject with your own voice. Can I get a little more volume in this a little bit? You can start the first song. This is a song called I Rise. It's just speaking to things that, kind of try to hold you back in life, whether it's your own self, whether it's your mind, whether it's other people, whether it's any opposing force. We want to rise above it. So we're going to say, I rise. That's it. Oh, yeah, we can clap too. Oh, 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 oh. Thought you had me right where you wanted. Tried to drown me in your sea of light, but as the moon in darkness, I rise. Oh, I rise. everything right, but I'm made strong even in my weakness. So as the mercury I rise. Oh, I rise above it all. I rise. Oh, sit. Oh, 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 oh. La 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 la. Oh, ah, la 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 la. We can clap right here. Yes. Here we go. And oh, 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 I rise. Oh, 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 I rise. Oh, 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 I rise. Oh, say, oh, I rise. I rise. I rise. I rise. Yeah, higher than high. As ashes from a flame, I rise higher than high. Oh, as the moon in the sky, I rise. Oh, I rise. 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 Oh, oh. Thanks for singing that one with me. As you mentioned before, I do have product. You all can be seated if you like. There's a little fun part at the end of this one, so if you feel like getting up or just singing with me, either one's fine. I do have product today. It's a special edition. They don't have the regular labels and things that they're supposed to have, but I'm going to sign it for you. And first come, first serve. If you guys want to donate, feel free. I'm not going to stop you, but I would like to share it with you. This next song is about the seasons in life and how everything is kind of moving like water. It's called A Waterfall. And this one is going to be on the debut album. Life is moving, ever changing, running swiftly as it's aging. Every season tells a story, See the beauty of the journey. Winter's here, then springtime's near, the summer's dear, and autumn's soon to fall. Flowing, ever glowing, dancing, glowing like a waterfall. Time is surely of the essence. Take the time to learn its lessons. Every season tells a story. See the beauty of the journey. Winter's here, then springtime's near, the summer's dear, and autumn's soon to fall. Falling, flowing, ever glowing, dancing, glowing like a waterfall. Da 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 da. Da 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 dum dum dum, da 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 dum dum dum, da 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 dum dum dum, da 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 dum dum dum, da 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 dum dum dum, da 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 dum dum dum, da 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 da. Da 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 da. So on this one we're gonna clap like this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Good. Here we go. Winter's here, then springtime's near, summer's dear, and autumn's soon to fall. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Dancing, glowing, ever flowing, moving, going like a waterfall. So this part you can sing with me. We just say la la la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Awesome job, guys. It's been my pleasure being with y'all.
Shante Can. I love that one. I love them both. That's good. That I Rise, that was good, but that one was like you may be seated. I'm so happy to have my beautiful daughter Christina with us today, and my beautiful granddaughter Sophia, and my beautiful granddaughter Olivia. And we got to spend a little time with them yesterday and had a blast as always. Thanks for your good reports. I got to tell you that something happened this morning that was really sweet, and some of you will know why, maybe more than others. But when I walked in here today, you know, Jack and Jackie, they're both Jackie, but I call him Jack so I can keep them. She's in Dubai. Has she gotten there yet? But you know, Rachel is Jack's daughter, and she's really quiet. But you know, she's been a part of us since we started in Midtown. Doesn't say a lot, but today when I walked in here, she said, "Bishop, I need to tell you something," which has never happened before. And she said, "I learned last week that new neuropaths in my brain are opening up." And I was like, "What?" And I said, "Where did that come from?" And Jack said, "Usually when we leave, we'll say, 'What did you learn today?' and what did he talk about?" And the pat answer is usually, "He talked about Jesus," and that's, you know, that's what she says. And last week she said, he talked about new neural paths opening up in your brain. They ran off the road. Like, wait, what? And I don't know. That possibly is the most exciting thing that has happened since I started Metron. So that's cool. What's encouraging about that is, faith comes by hearing. Faith doesn't come by having heard. Whatever you hear on a regular basis, you'll have faith for. If you're listening to gossip, you'll have faith for it. I mean, you'll believe whatever you hear. I believe in watching the news. I think it's important to know what's going on. But if you are sitting just having a steady diet of ISIS and Ebola, you need to turn that off. Find out what's going on, but you're not in danger. You're not getting unless you're somewhere where you're like dealing with dying people and like hands on, and even then it's not for sure you would even be exposed. So stop listening to stuff that's going to make you fearful on a regular basis. I'm not telling you to be unaware. I'm very aware. I know everything that's going on. I'm not naive to what's happening in the world, but you have to know how to listen to it, because what you listen to on a regular basis becomes your reality. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word. So that's just encouraging that, I don't know. Thanks for telling me that, Rachel. I love you, sweetheart. Beautiful. I'll have some next week about our artist of the month for November and our event of the month. I'm thinking about one of two things, huh? We had I'm telling you, and I don't want to make those of you that were not able to go feel bad, but I mean, you just really missed such a great, I'm not exaggerating, am I? It was like a perfect day. It was like perfect weather, perfect traffic, perfect food, perfect. It was just like perfect, perfect, beautiful lake that we walked around. I don't know. It was awesome. And, some of y'all didn't even ask where we were going. I just started walking around the lake and people started following me. Susan walked all the way around the lake, and that's a big deal for her. First time I met Susan, she was walking on a cane, and she walked all around that lake. I said, "Are you good?" She said, "Yep, good." And it was the woods. I mean, it's not a paved path. I mean, you got to watch where you're walking. And I think I told you this, but Ben and Teresa, who are out of town today, but she said, "This is the first time I've ever done this." She said, "This time last year I had a bypass. I could have never walked this far." And he's a big hiker. He's always wanting her to walk with him. And she said, "I've never walked with him in the woods before. This is the first." Those are little that let me know, we are bearing fruit. And it was so I don't know. We're talking. I would like to, for several reasons, I'd like to do a little trip, maybe down to the little White House in Pine Mountain and Warm Springs area, and we might do that this month unless we do something for Thanksgiving. I'm trying to decide. I'll let you know by next week for sure, because I might want to do something that involves turkey. I don't know, but we'll see. But there's a lot of things I want to show you, and not only do I want to do like an artist of the month and an outreach of the month, but I'd like to do an event of the month too. It was real easy to do, and I even think the carpooling worked out fine instead of trying to rent a bus and everything. I think it's because some people are coming from different areas, so it probably, like, you guys live up close to Dillard House, so it was easier just to drive up there. So we'll see, but it's all going to be fun. And there's actually a lot of things here in Atlanta that I'd like to show you. Some of you have never been to the King Center. I'd like to take you there. It's a really awesome experience. It's like, I don't know, just a few blocks from here. And you can go into the house where Dr. King was born, and right down the street is the original Ebenezer Baptist Church. And what the actual church now is across the street in a very impressive structure. But you go there in the church where he and Daddy King actually preached, and they're playing his sermons in there, interspersed with Mahalia Jackson singing. It's an awesome experience. It feels like you've gone into a time capsule. And there's a museum there. There's a lot of really cool stuff, but there's just, I don't know. I have so many things I want to show you. And now that you guys are getting used to coming downtown, you realize that it's not at all what people thought. Gay pride wasn't what a lot of y'all thought. Let's start. Fro, he got an eyeful on a couple of things. I said, Fro, you okay? He said, I'm good. I said, okay, I know this is a first for you. But that's as bad as it gets. And there you saw it, and it wasn't the end of the world. And like, okay. So anyway, good. Broadening your horizons. That's what I do. We speak into this atmosphere and we say, let there be light. This month we are talking about a phrase from Revelation 21 where Jesus says, behold, I make all things new. The concept of things being new or being renewed, particularly strong in the New Testament, also in the Old Testament. And, there in Lamentations chapter 3, he says, the steadfast love of the Lord never fails. His mercies never come to an end. They are what? New. They're new every morning. That's very much what I'm talking about. That every morning when you wake up, there's new energy. Don't drag what happened yesterday into today. Very important. But especially in the New Testament, it's Jesus talking about putting new wine into new wineskins, or Paul saying, if any man's in Christ, he's a new creature, or be renewed in the spirit of your mind. John, in his vision, sees a new Jerusalem. The concept of Christ coming and being revealed through the person of Jesus and now being revealed through us is that things are constantly being renewed. I really do believe we're going to tap into this, and it's going to take us into a place of health where we have not been before. And I don't just mean physical health, but I'm also including physical health with that, because if our cells are being renewed continually, we ought to know how to get well and be well. And I want to learn it in a way where everybody can move at their own pace, and it's organic, and there's a flow to it. And I don't want it to be religious. I want it to be a kingdom key that unlocks something we didn't know before. So this month we're talking about, behold, I make all things new, creating new realities by changing energy. I want to show you just a little passage from, it's all right. I know her. And I told him to come to the front row, so it's all good. This is a little passage about Jesus feeding the multitudes. And Jackie and I were just talking about this morning, because she was showing me, I need to look at it before I come back and talk about it, but she was showing me something in the verse of scripture that's in today's A Year in the Now. It's just a little phrase that potentially changes an entire Bible story. And I was telling her, I said, that's the kingdom keys are always in those little phrases, little things that you didn't notice before. Sometimes a passage of scripture gets lost. The truth of it gets lost in the familiarity, because you've read it so many times, talked about it so many times, that your brain already thinks it knows what it's going to say. So you don't really read it. You know that from teaching. Sometimes you read things and your brain will tell you something that it didn't say at all. I do it. Sometimes I'm embarrassed to tell people some of the things that I think things say, because I read them so quickly, and then I go back and I go, oh, that's not what that said at all, is it? And that's one of the downsides to reading quickly. But there's usually a little something, for me anyway. There's always a line, a phrase, a word, or something that I see that I think, well, when did they put that in the Bible? That wasn't in there before. I know I've taught on this hundreds of times and I've never seen that. And there'll just be this one time you look at it and there's this energy and this vibration on this one little phrase, like, oh wow, I didn't see that before. You all know the story of the loaves and fish. There's a couple different accounts of it. I I don't get really technical over why there were 5 loaves and 2 fish, or 7 loaves, and why one time he fed 5,000 and one time he fed 4,000. I could create a teaching out of that, but that's not where the energy is for me in this passage. Um, there's the obvious uh, story about how God uses whatever is in your hand, and that's basic kingdom teaching 101. God speaks to Moses, what do you have in your hand? Jesus says the kingdom is at hand. The kingdom of God will be revealed in things that are quite familiar to you. You're going to make your fortune in stuff that you already know. It probably will not be things that you don't know. That's why they tell authors, write what you know, because the power's in, blooming where you're planted. So you can teach a lot about little as much when God is in it, or God multiplies, or whatever. I want to show you, this is a very little nuanced thing, but I'm telling you, it's a powerful kingdom key. This is the story about Jesus. He's having a kind of like a 3-day seminar, and the people have just sort of followed him out there. And this is back in a time where when you went out to a remote area, there's not food for you to eat. Unless you brought some with you. You don't just run over to Zaxby's and get a salad, or there's not an Applebee's. After Jesus gets through preaching, let's go. Let's run over to IHOP. It doesn't work that way. And so the people were there, and they'd been on foot, and they were camping, so the way they numbered people in a patriarchal society was by the men. So they said there were 5,000 men or 4,000 men. It probably meant there was like 10, 15,000, because they counted heads of families, and then that, men had wives, sometimes more than one wife. They had children. So bottom line is, it was a sea of people. So Jesus gets this idea, why don't we feed them? You know what? They've been very patient. They've sat here, probably whatever food they brought with them, they've exhausted it by now. Let's feed them. These disciples of Jesus were not caterers. And if they were miracle workers, sometimes they didn't realize that they were, because it was still, sometimes you get a new, it's like your iPhone, it does all kind of things probably that you don't even know it does. I went in last, that just is not that old, a 4S. And I needed, and I've downloaded the newer stuff, the newer software, but I needed a new case for it. So I went into AT&T, and it was like I had asked for a rotary phone from the turn of the century. I said, do y'all have a case for an i4? And it's like they were looking at it confused. They were like, an i4? Well, I've never heard tell of an i4. I didn't know they still had that. Like, people were up, like, looking at it, and like, wow. And, the manager was going, hey, you boys, come out here. You never seen one of these. I'm like, really? It's not that. It's an i4. It just came out like a couple of years ago. But it was like I had brought in this thing that they found in an architectural dig. And I said, well, doesn't one case fit all? And they were like, oh, no. Like, I don't even know if we have a case for that. I said, well, could you go look? Well, he goes back in the back, and he's gone like a long time. Like, they're bringing, excavation in, and searchers, people coming out with pith helmets. And, finally he comes out with one, blows the dust off of it. See if this will work. We don't even know. We've never even used it. Oh, come on. You guys are not this state of the art. It's not like I brought in, God forbid, a BlackBerry. This is, it's an iPhone. Suri works on here. She never understands what I'm saying, but she does. She works on it. Anyway, I thought, man, that's the world we live in. You buy something this year, and you go in next year for parts, and they're like, dear God, we don't even know anybody that makes parts for that anymore. I heard there was some guy in Ohio that maybe works on. Anyway. but you have all this potential. Like I drove my car for 2 or 3 years before I ever knew it's got this little, you can hit this button and it has indirect lighting in my floorboards. And sometimes it's purple, sometimes it's green, sometimes it's blue. I drove it for 3 years, didn't know I had that. I keep finding out more and more things. Why did you even know it did that? Well, Jesus, remember when he got the disciples together, he laid hands on them and said, you can do whatever I do. But they didn't know what they had. To all of people, all kind of spiritual gifts have been downloaded into you that you don't even know you have. You have abilities that you're not even aware of at this point, and sometimes you don't know them. You don't know that they're there until you need them. Sometimes you have to go through something difficult before you realize, oh, I'm very equipped for this, and I didn't even know I had this feature. And you are very state of the art. Every new day, Holy Spirit is downloading the most current software into you. Now you have to learn how to make it work. You have to learn how to use it, but it's all in you. You are much more powerful than you even realize. So Jesus, let's look at Matthew chapter 15. I'm going to look at 2 or 3 verses here, and I'm in the NIV. And in verse 32, it says, Jesus called his disciples to him and said, I have compassion for these people. I remember that. I'm going to come back to it. They have already been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. I do not want to send them away hungry, or they may collapse on the way. His disciples answered, where could we get enough bread in this remote place to feed such a crowd? Now, before we go to the next verse, what's going to happen between verse 33 and verse 34 is a complete paradigm shift. It's a change in energy. It's Jesus creating an entirely new reality, a new paradigm. And we talked about this last week. Jesus did this constantly. You'd ask him something and he would say something back that seemed completely unrelated to what you were talking about. And it's not that he wasn't a good conversationalist or wasn't listening, but he's always bringing you into something new. If you're stuck in some thinking that is cyclical and this is how I always think this thought. This is how I always say this word. When Jesus talks to you, he always introduces something that is a completely new idea. And if you are opposed to new ideas, it will be very irritating because we have learned to do things the way that we do them and generally don't want to rock the boat with that. I am happy to say that at my very young age of 50-something, I love new ideas. I do. It takes me a minute to, like if I'm introduced to new technology, whatever, it takes me a minute to acclimate to it, but I have learned I eventually will get this. When I switched from my PC to a Mac was different. And there was a couple of times there where I had to close the lid and say, okay, this is working my nerve and I want to go back to the way I'm used to it. But little by little, I just kept pushing myself. And now it's like, oh, wow, I like this so much better. It's so much easier to use. And I've learned now, just give it a minute. You eventually will get this. And as Rachel reminded me today, new neuropaths are opening up all the time in your brain. To traveling down those paths yet, but you'll get to them. I've even gotten to where I love GPS so much that sometimes I'll just put it on, even if I'm going somewhere that I've driven to my entire life, because I have found sometimes there's a better way to go that I hadn't even thought about going that way, just because, you get these paths in your brain. This is the way I go to the bank. I get in the car and I turn here and you don't even challenge it. It's like, well, that's the way you go. And then sometimes you'll turn on GPS and it'll say, turn here. And you're like, turn here? Why would I turn here? And then you turn here and you're like, oh, you know what? That actually is better because you're flowing against traffic this way. And I wouldn't have even thought of going this way because that old path has been so ingrained and entrenched. That's the way you go to the bank. Well, there might be a better way. my bank now has this thing where if you want to deposit a check, you can take a picture of it with your phone. Now, the first couple of times I tried that, it bugged me. I couldn't get it to work. And then I thought, okay, put it down. You will get it. And then now I can do it. It's like, well, that's sometimes I don't mind if I'm out. I'll just go make the deposit. But if you need to, you can from here, man, even better. So what the disciples say here, they say, where in the world will we ever be able to feed this many people? That does not sound like a bad thing to say. That's a legitimate question. Most of us would have asked the same thing, except we would be tempted to say, are you crazy? Because you don't say that to Jesus. But you want to say, do you realize how many people are out there? I mean, where in the world would we get that kind of food? So that's their thinking. And the next verse, Jesus says, yeah, you're right. I don't know what I was thinking. It was a crazy idea. My bad. I guess we better go and dismiss the crowd. And they lived happily ever after. Is that what it says? Look at this next verse. If you can get this verse will change your life. How many loaves do you have? Jesus asked. And I didn't put the rest of the verses on there because the verses is they blessed it and break it and fed the multitude. And in one account, there was 12 baskets of fragments left over. In another account, there were 7. The bottom line is there was surplus. Here's the point, and it's very subtle. It's one of those things if you don't know what to look for, you'll just read past it and not notice this. Jesus makes them look at the situation from a different paradigm. They say, how in the world could we possibly feed this many people? Valid question. They're not even trying to be rebellious. They don't say to him, it's impossible. They say, well, how would we even do that? Have you ever had somebody present an idea to you and you think, well, I don't even know, how would I even do that? I wouldn't even know how to do that. Haven't you noticed that the things you've probably been most successful at, you got on the job training with? Remember when you had children? Anybody remember that? And they did not come with instructions? I remember when I was married to Christina's mom, when her older brother Jared was born, we came home from the hospital, and I'm this skinny kid. Aside from the other obvious things that were needed to be dealt with in my life, I remember us taking this baby out of the car, and I thought, what the heck are they thinking? We don't know what to do with a baby. I remember really having a panic attack. Like, well, we don't know what to do. I mean, in the hospital, you could call a nurse and they would bring the baby, take the baby away, feed the baby, take care of stuff. Like, well, where's the button that you push with the person who knows about babies? Because God knows we don't know. We shouldn't even be alone with this child. We don't know. We're extremely immature and self-centered, and we'll probably, I'm thinking all kinds of things that we'll totally forget that we've got him. We'll go in there and get ready and go out tonight. And wait a minute, did we have which of course never happened. But at the time, that in my brain was not opened up yet, and I thought we can't do that. Well, I had 4 children, 2 grandchildren. Guess what? You figure it out as you go. Anybody who says, well, we'll do such and such when we know what we're doing, that's not the way successful people think. Successful people just jump in and say, well, we'll just do it and we'll figure it out and we'll learn what not to do. So when he says here, how many loaves do you have? What he's saying is, look at a situation. Don't even call it an impossible situation, but look at what you have instead of looking at what you've got to deal with. You've read those things about, like yesterday we took, Ken and I took Sophia and Olivia over to Eats. And they both got corn on the cob, but Sophia wanted her corn taken off the cob. She said, that's the way my mom does it. I said, I said, baby, it's so much easier just to eat it on the cob. It's fun. Look like Olivia's eating it on the cob. oh, that's the way my mom does it. So I'm trying to cut it. I'm massacring it. So Ken takes over, and he actually got the corn off the cob, although I was completely squirted in the face with corn juice several times. But if you've ever read any of those statistics about you can eat a cob of corn or you can plant it. And have you ever read those exponential things that within like 3 or 4 years, you could feed an entire nation with what, if you took that and then planted that. And, you've heard that back, any of you that came out of charismatic churches, you've heard, don't eat your seed, plant your seed. And that's a truth to that. What Jesus is saying here is don't be overwhelmed by how much there is to do or how much you need. Look at what you've got. Everything begins with a seed. Everything begins with a thought. Everything begins with an idea. If you look at all you've got to do, I mean, think about when you brought that baby home from the hospital. What if you sat down, and maybe some of you did a spreadsheet of what that kid's going to cost you in the next 18 years? Most people would say, we got to send this kid back. There's no way. We can't afford. We don't have this kind of money. Anybody says we're going to wait till we can afford to have kids, to have babies. That's kind of not realistic. And if that were the case, you probably wouldn't be here, because really, in reality, nobody in the natural could afford what it costs to raise a child. What do? You just do it. You figure it out somehow. Some of you were raised by a single parent. Some of you were raised by a single mom. And you know that she had to work miracles, and you don't know how she did it. I look back at some of the things, some of the little churches my dad pastored when I was growing up, and I'm sure what the financial state of that was, wasn't very much. But I never had a poverty mentality. We never, my dad just didn't think that way. We always, if we needed it, we had it and we got it. And so the paradigm is, what do I have? What do I have to work with? I'm going to show you 4 things very quickly, try to get you out of here at a decent time. And they are 4 phrases. And the first one is this. Number 1 is accentuate abundance. Accentuate abundance. Don't accentuate, I got 5,000 people to feed. Because that's going to push you over the edge when you think about all you've got to do. But what do you have? I could say a lot more about that, but I think you get the point. The second one, because we're still talking about creating new reality by changing energy. The second one is cultivate compassion. Remember when Jesus said, I have compassion on these people? Let me tell you why this is important. What does that got to do with creating new energy? Well, I want to be careful how I say this, because I know people stream this. But in the last few days, I had interaction with someone that I've known for a long time. And, when you've known somebody for a very long time, there's certain patterns in the way you communicate with one another. And sometimes when you know somebody, you've known them for a really long time, they don't really know the current you. They know who they knew years ago. And sometimes before you realize it, you're communicating like you would have communicated a long time ago. And you go back and you find an old version of you, because that's who they know. And in this particular situation, it was one of those deals. Like, I'm so used to, people say all kind of stuff to me. I mean, if the average person heard what I have heard in my lifetime, it would so affect your self-esteem, you couldn't even get up and get ready. And I have a lot of affirmation, but I've also had just unbelievably negative things said to me. And it just comes with the territory. The reason I don't retaliate is I just don't have time to get into it and trade insults with people, because it's I just don't have time for that. I put away that childish thing a long time ago. And even back in the day, when a lot of times people would misunderstand my confidence or whatever, somebody would give me a compliment and somebody else would say, don't tell them that, you'll give them the big head. And I think, if you have no idea, let me show you just the emails I got last night, that if you read that about yourself, you would be devastated. But I can deal with it because I do have confidence, and there's no way I can explain it to you. So I'm not gonna get sucked into whatever you're trying to do, whatever this thing you're doing with me. I'm just not gonna do it with you because I just don't need to do it. I don't know if I lost you there, but I think you know what I'm talking about. But the point is, I was with somebody the last few days that was just on me, just verbally about every little thing, and I could tell you're either mad at me or I'm doing something that's bothering you, and I don't know what the heck it is. I mean, I have no idea. And it's not that I don't care about stuff like this, but you know, when you're really a grown up, at a certain point, you just have to especially when you know as many people as I do, you have to say, look, whatever your issue is with me, either man up and tell me what it is, or shut up the stupid whatever you're doing, or I'm just not going to talk to you. But I don't have time. You know, we're not adolescents. I don't have time to say, why are you mad at me? You know, I just don't. I'm a grandfather. You know what I mean? It's like I don't have time. But if we've got an issue, tell me what it is, man up and tell me what it is, or otherwise I'm going to assume you're fine with me. And if you're insulting me and stuff, I'm like, well, you obviously got an issue and you're going to have to work it out. It's not my problem. I haven't done anything to you. If I've done something to you, I will gladly apologize and make it right. But if you've just got some negative vibe with me, that's your problem. It's not my problem. I don't have time to try to figure out what you're mad at or what you're intimidated about or what you're jealous of. That's your problem. And so was there nearly an applause there? No, I'm going to save you a lot of time if you'll do this. So it was a kind of a situation where I said, you know what, let's we were with somebody and now we're going to go because I've had enough, frankly. And the next day I was thinking, should I call this person and say, do we have an issue? Is there something we need to talk about? And then I thought, no, this is their problem. But this is the kingdom key that will set you free. I was laying in bed the next morning. Sometimes I'll just lay there a little bit before I get up and kind of, you know, what I want to think about this day. How do I want to create this day? How do I want to visualize this day? So I was thinking I was finishing up some of that energy from yesterday. And I thought, all right, let me try to see me through this person's eyes. And I realized where this person was in their life and some of the things they're dealing with that I'm not dealing with. You know, I don't need to say this to you because obviously those of you who are still with me are aware of this fact and are good with it. But I always end up okay. Do you understand me? It's like when something negative happens to me, I always end up on my feet. I just always do. I internalized the coat of many colors many, many years ago and really consider myself like an incarnation of Joseph. You know, like no matter what happens, you throw me into jail, then I'm going to become the captain of the jail. I mean, that's just the way. So that's why I'm not afraid of negative things that happen. Like I'm doing an interview tomorrow with the Wall Street Journal. We were supposed to do it earlier last week. And so I asked him, so I asked the guy, I said, well, why are you asking me? Because I thought it was about something else. And he says, no, he said, you're somebody that I know that had a mega church building and the property, and now you rent property. And I want to do an article about which do you think is better and what's the pros and cons. Well, I can talk for an hour about that. Like that's easy. And it's actually something I'd like to talk about. That's refreshing. I don't always want to talk about my sexual orientation. I mean, that's like, you know, I've kind of covered that. I do know some other things to talk about. So I thought, I can give you a great interview on that. I said, well, how did you know about me? And he said, I just found you online. And I said, now, are you aware of my story? And he said, oh yeah. I mean, the Wall Street Journal doesn't care about stuff like that. I mean, you know, they're like sophisticated and intelligent. He said, oh no, I don't care about that. He said, what I want to know is what's the pros and cons of having had, and I can tell you, like, I'm so stress-free that I don't think of having lost something. I'm like, no, I did that, and now I'm doing this, and I was happy then, and I'm happy now. Some people don't know how to handle that. They're like, no matter what happens to you, you're still okay. Well, baby, I'm always going to be okay. If that bothers you, you probably need to leave me alone now, because I always will be okay. Even in my worst hour, my lowest point, I was still fine and prospering. What that like, I don't know how to not do that. I'm not saying I've always been skipping through life, like everything's hunky dory, but I really, really know the Lord will perfect that which concerns me, and I'll always be okay. I have been young, now I'm old. I'm not seeing the righteous forsaken or a seed begging bread. I mean, I don't even have to try to believe those concepts. That's just like, well, no, I'll always be okay. And I think some people who aren't okay in negative situations have a really hard time with that. I may write a post about this week, because I've got a lot of people I've never met, who write me and say, I would like to come to you for counseling. How much do you charge? And they're asking me not as a pastor, but as like a life coach. And my thought of that is, well, for those that are part of this, I still consider myself pastoral to you. So if you need to talk about something, we'll talk. And it's not like any big professional thing. But and it'll be like pastoral counseling. But I'm going to get, I'd like to get trained and certified as a life coach, so that when people say, no, I want to pay for your time, I can tell you, well, this is what I have to offer you. But I don't feel right doing that if I haven't had some kind of training. So I'm working toward that. But I was thinking about, I thought, just from life experience, I was like thinking about all the things I've been through. Like, I was engaged several times, broken engagements, married, divorced, remarried, blended family, excommunicated. I mean, I was going down the list of life altering things that I've been through, that I can tell you without any kind of training. I can tell you, well, this is what happened with me. And I thought it was going to kill me, but it didn't. And I've learned now, I don't think anything is going to kill me. I'm just like, whatever happens, like, oh, well, I've seen worse than this. I mean, that's it. I don't, if I have to go to the doctor for something at this point, I've been through enough things. Like, well, that's probably going to hurt a little bit, and it'll be over. And I've learned that things, if I have something in my body, it's like, well, it leaves after a while. I don't know. Sometimes it's faster than later, but this too shall pass. So I don't freak out over, as you get older, little things happen in your body. You're like, should I be concerned with this? No, it's just another rite of passage. And, I will figure it out, and I'll do some research on it, and I'll be okay, just like I'm always okay. And those are things that help you kind of settle into your age and get comfortable in your skin and realize it's not the end of the world, and some things are more serious than others, but whatever, we'll deal with it when we deal with it, and it'll be okay. And the thing that really helped me with this situation was having compassion, because here's the deal. As long as I was on that energy of saying, why would he say something like that to me? Or why would he do that? Then I'm in his energy field. Do you understand? It's like, and now we're going to get, and look, I'm not afraid of confrontation. And I know Jesus said, if you got an ought against somebody, go to them, make it right. But let me tell you something. There's some people, you've got so much history with them. It's like, where would you even start? Do you know what I mean? There's just some people that there's a little part about them that irritates you, and there's probably a little part of you that irritates them, and that just comes with the territory, and hopefully your iron to sharpen their iron. But there's no way you're going to get it right, because if you do, you're going to start talking about, well, I remember one time in 1973, you said, and it's just going to be counterproductive. And all I'm telling you, I've had those kind of, face outs before, and they don't really produce what you want. So now I've just realized, or I've gotten to the place where I think, unless you tell me otherwise, I'm assuming you're good with me. And if I know I need to apologize to you for something, I have no problem making that right. I'm not stubborn about that. So that's not or even admitting I'm wrong about something. I have no problem doing that. So I'm not afraid of that. I don't have big major pride issues. And so I started to feel kind of yucky about some of the interchange that had gone on early in the week. And then once I got into the compassion mode, it created a completely different energy. And I thought, oh, you know what? I'm not going to get my feelings hurt about this, because I realize he's really hurting. And this has really nothing to do with me. I mean, I might be irritating it a little bit because I'm not hurting in this area, but to be able to be compassionate to that person just puts me in a completely different energy, and it makes me, it empowers me. Because once you feel compassion for someone, then you're not in their vortex. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's the right word, but that's how I see it. It's like you either, like I told you the other day, you either dance to their music or you write your own song. And if somebody keeps picking at you, whatever, and you're just not going to go there with them, you have to say, let's look, if you're trying to have a fight with me, you're just going to have to do it on your own, because I'm not interested. I can fight with the best of them. And if you're wanting to go, I can go and I'll probably win, but I'm just not interested. I have fought a lot in my life. I would really like to spend out the rest of my days in peace. And I mean, I just would. So, as they say in the neighborhood, I ain't got time for the drama. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you have to remember, I just don't have time. If it's a real issue, then let's talk. Otherwise, I'm going to assume I'm righteous in your sight. And if I'm not, you've got a big problem, because you're fine with me. I don't have any, it's going to be hard for us to tangle, because I'm not mad at you. I don't have issues with you. I have somebody that I also knew for a very long time that just every time I would post something on Facebook, they had a little zing about it, a little something negative to say about it. And I thought, I don't even look at your page. It doesn't even, you're not even on my radar screen. I don't even care. Like, why do you care so much? But then I thought, oh, compassion. How do I see myself through your eyes? Oh yeah, I guess you got some issues. And then they blocked me, and problem solved. I was actually relieved when they blocked me, because then I didn't have to, oh Lord, what do they got to say? Because I'm not talking to them, and I'm just posting. This person would say, these people that call themselves bishop. Well, I actually am. I actually went somewhere and people laid hands on me and actually did help start a lot of church. I just didn't make it up one day and say, y'all call me doctor. No, you've got to, we call Dr. Sheila Doc, because she didn't just say, I'm a doctor. She got some training and actually has an office where if you're hurting, you can go there and she will do things that will make you feel better. If you're just calling yourself a doctor and don't have that, you're just crazy. Crazy. Wishful thinking. The third thing, and this one, oh my God, this one's so important, is embrace endings. And I'm quoting Dr. Seuss here. Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss, Dr. Seuss books were very profound. A lot of people don't realize, because they're children's books, but there's some very weighty matter that's dealt with in those books. I did, some of you that came to Success Freaks, I did an entire hour on Green Eggs and Ham, because it's a classic, and it's very much, Green Eggs and Ham is very much about opening new neuropaths in your brain. The deal is, this is a new idea, Green Eggs and Hams, but would you? And the guy says, I would not, could not in a box. I would not, could not with a fox. And it sounds like cute little rhymes, but there's a very relatable truth to that. And I love this quote. It's one of my favorite quotes. It's not in the Bible, but it should be. It says, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. You've got to learn that seasons change, things come to an end. It's okay. Be happy that you experienced it. Um, the musical The King and I, Rodgers and Hammerstein. There's this lyric. Oscar Hammerstein just was such a powerful lyricist, and the song that Anna sings, "Hello, young lovers, wherever you are," because she's looking at these two young people who are in love, but she says this thing in the story. It's based on a true story. She was widowed. And she says, "Don't cry for me, young lovers, wherever you are. I've had a love of my own." That's, man, that is a very powerful idea, because she's saying, don't feel sorry for me that I'm widowed. What I had with my husband was awesome. And do I miss him? Yes. Do I feel sorry for myself? No. You wish you were me. You wish. I can only hope that you experience in your life what I experienced with him. And probably, they imply that there's a romance between her and the king, but there kind of really is. And if there was, he has a harem, so you can't take it that seriously. But that's a very powerful idea. She's saying, don't feel sorry for me. I had that. That's what I'm talking about. Don't grieve over the loss of something. Be glad that you had it. I don't look at anything in my life that I don't have anymore as a negative. I look at it as, oh, did that well, succeeded at that, whatever. And are those parts of my life? No. But I loved, when I was raising my kids, I loved every phase they were at. I really did. I enjoyed it, and somehow, even then, I was able to grasp how fast time goes. So, in every part of it, it's like, well, I enjoy this. I never was one of those parents that, when you say, oh, you got teenagers. Oh God, I feel sorry for you. I enjoyed that. Teenagers in the house was fun. My kids they were, enjoyable. I was glad. Look, I'm not saying I didn't do my legitimate share of worrying over them driving and stuff, but I was glad when my kids started driving. I enjoyed that I didn't have to drive them everywhere. I mean, I that was good for me. And now, as I see them grow and get in their own life, I think, wow, I wouldn't have seen you take that turn, but that's your decision. And hopefully we instilled in you the ability to make good decisions. And Christina may be moving to New York in a few weeks. And there's a part of me that wants to say, don't go that far away. I love you around the corner. And now I just think, well, more trips to New York, I'm like, y'all better get an air mattress, goes Poppy gonna be sleeping on the floor coming up. And so instead of it being a negative, like, oh my God, what will I do without them being 5 minutes away? I'm like, well, they have airplanes, and I ain't mad at New York. So if that's what, and she's an adult, and I asked her yesterday, I said, what about schools for the girls, this, that? So we're working on that. They don't have every I dotted and every T crossed. That's called life. And you figure it out, as you go. But this little time right now, Judah lives in Covington, but the other three are literally less than 10 minutes away from me. Jared and Jonah live in Cabbagetown, and Christina lives in Little Five Points. Well, that's my neighborhood. It's like, I have thoroughly, for however long this phase lasts, I have thoroughly enjoyed them being this close. Will they always live that close? I don't know. And if they don't, then I'll be like, well, man, remember that time when everybody lived so close? Man, we had some great times. But we still don't see each other every day. You think somebody's close to you, you're going to see them every day. No, you don't. Because you think, well, I can see them tomorrow. So it is what it is. And like that song says, everything must change. If you just shut down every time that there's another change in your life, you're just going to be continually miserable. Things do come to an end. This seems like a small thing, but I really realized it this summer, because I love me some fall. And we've had a good October, but there's still some more colors to see. We're probably going to drive somewhere next weekend, and there's no point in saying, y'all going somewhere again? Yes, that's what we do. Shut up. We go all the time. And yes, we work for a living. Yes. Really, nobody says that anymore. Um, and, but this summer we were walking one night. It was real hot in the city. It was like a hot summer night, and you know, it is what it is. It's humid. But I said, you know what? I love summer nights. I mean, it's hot, and thank God I have air conditioning because I like to sleep when it's cool. But I'm grateful for my air conditioning. I mean, I don't take it for granted. But I really love these summer nights where it's just, you're just walking around in shorts and flip flops, and it's fun. And I used to say fall is my favorite season. I love it, but they're all my favorite. I love when it's cold enough to wear a jacket and a scarf and gloves. I love that. And maybe if I lived in, where there was bigger snow, I wouldn't enjoy it so much. I understand how that could get on your nerves, but time goes so fast. As soon as you say you don't like something, it's already another season. I mean, I'm looking around this area of town. I don't know if it's gay people or whatever, but these people love them some Halloween. People in Midtown decorate their houses for Halloween more than people do for Christmas. I mean, it's crazy. If you haven't seen it, you should drive around one night. I'm amazed at some of the yards these people have. But it just seems like it was the other day they did. One night this week, I said, I shouldn't say it, but I can't believe it's October again. I feel like we just did that. So you might as well enjoy all the seasons because they're moving so fast, and they each have something that's really cool about them. I love the hot weather, but by the time I'm ready for it to be cool, it starts cooling down. And I love when the leaves turn. I try to look at them because they're earlier this week. I mean, I could tell we were up in the mountains a couple of days, and literally from one day to the next, you could tell. I mean, that's how much and in a few days, they'll be totally off the trees. So I try to enjoy it and we take a lot of pictures because we enjoy that. I was glad to realize every season is my favorite season. I used to think fall was, but honestly, I love spring. I love winter. I really, really love it. What's the point of that? It means you're enjoying your life. I mean, it really does. There's something about each day that I enjoy. I woke up this morning, I looked at it, oh, it's Sunday. Oh, it's a beautiful day. Yay. I got to tell you, I'm happier when it's not raining on a Sunday. I do like that. But I just enjoy Sunday, and tomorrow I'll wake up and go, oh, it's Monday. But Monday's cool. Monday's got its own cool vibe. I don't hate Mondays. You're just cursing your life if you keep saying, oh God, I hate Mondays. Because guess what? Monday's going to come every 7 days. So you might as well make peace with it. And if you keep talking how much I hate Mondays, I don't do Mondays. Yeah, you do Mondays. You can't opt out of, there's no menu that says, can we do that Monday? You're going to have, so you might as well start saying, oh my God, I love Monday so much. The only thing better than a Monday is a Tuesday, but my God, Wednesdays, don't even get me started. Oh, I can't even talk about it. Forget about Friday. Are you kidding me? The weekend. Oh my God, I love my life. Now, people, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not making that up. I really, really do. I've been doing a couple of things. The isogenics that Fro and Margot represent. I've been doing that for a month, and I've been working with a trainer. And I've lost, I think, 12 pounds. And I just got my new shipment last night. It came in, and I like what you can kind of tailor make whatever you want to do. And so I'm like doing a shake in the morning, shake for lunch, and then I have a sensible dinner at night. Let me tell you what's great about it. I so look forward to dinner. And it's not like I'm starving all day. It's not that, because you're satisfied, but it's, I really will think about it. I think like, where are we have dinner? Like I'll text Ken a couple times during the day, like, I'm going to give you a couple of options because these things, as the Wicked Witch of the East said, these things must be done delicately. And like, and then, you know, I know tomorrow morning when I go in, my trainer's going to say, what did you eat last night? And how late did you eat? He's going to ask me those two things. And, you know, the first few weeks I was like, get up out of my business. You don't know me like that. But it's good, you know, because I actually would have never thought I would have gotten out of this habit, because traditionally I was a notorious late night snacker, and now I'm not. I would have never thought. I got to tell you, I was bad. I mean, I'm the guy that's eating mugu gai pan cold out of the refrigerator at 4:00 in the morning. Like, ooh, there's some Chinese food left, you know. And especially if you're a night owl, you know what that's like. Or like TCM showing some late movie, and you're like, ooh, I cannot watch this without ice cream. You know. And now I've learned, no, that's not a good habit. And there's nothing like having a couple of nights being up all night with heartburn to realize, you know, I probably shouldn't be doing this late at night. And you think, oh, what am I going to do? You stop doing it. And my point is, I've always enjoyed eating, but now it's like when we go to dinner, I'm still just having like a salad or something, but every bite I'm like, oh my God. Shh, I cannot. I've got to think about how good that bite was. And now I'm going to have another one. Oh my God, that second bite was even better, because I love, there's certain salads that have different things on them, and I want to get a little bit of every little thing in that one bite. And when you catch that one bite that's got all the, like, oh my God, never in the history of the world has there been a bite. And then I can't stop thinking about it, like, all for the rest of the evening. I'm like, oh God, that was so good what I had. And I keep thinking about it. I was thinking the seventh bite was the best, but really it was more like around bite 17, 18. That's when it really kicked in. Oh my God. But you know what? It's made me enjoy, like, I appreciate dinner more. When you're eating all day long, it's like, dinner, schminner. Like, you know, it's like nonstop. But when that's all you're going to have for the day, it's like, oh, don't anybody mess with my dinner. That's why I check in at places. We are checked in. Do not text me right now, because I'm going to eat this right now, and I'm going to enjoy it. I'm being silly, but I'm making a point. Whatever you have, appreciate it. And whatever you don't have, make you appreciate what you do have even more. And then finally, forget failure. And the reason I put failure in quotations is I'm not sure that failure exists. I think we call it that, but I asked her to find this Edison quote for me. You know, Thomas Edison invented, we wouldn't have these lights without him. And he said, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work. That's the way a winner thinks. I got to tell you, when I look back on my life, I don't see any failure. I see some hard lessons that I learned. Some lessons that spanked me pretty good. I know what it's like to wrestle with the angel and limp away from the fight like Jacob did. I know that exists. However, I look at my life now, and you can call it spin, you can call it whatever, but I don't see anything as failure. I see it as, well, you did that, and you tried that, and that was good. Like, somebody asked me this week, they said, now, are you downtown or Covington? I said, well, I'm downtown. Well, didn't you have a church and then I'm midtown? Yes. So you don't do that anymore? Well, I mean, it's not called that, but it's similar. Was that a failure? Oh, absolutely not. There wouldn't have been, if there hadn't been a church in Midtown, there wouldn't have been a Metron. So, and for whatever is next will not happen if there wasn't a Metron. So none of it is failure. No, I mean, I'm telling you, none of it is. And I'm only calling it failure just because we don't have another word for it. But I don't think it actually exists. And I think you have to look back over your life and say, you say, well, Bishop, that relationship I had was a failure. Was it? I mean, if you had love in your life, even if it was just temporary, well, you had love in your life. You experienced that. Well, I don't have it now. Well, you had it. Some people go their entire life and never have that. Well, I failed at marriage. Did you? I mean, if you were married, you obviously had some kind of success in marriage. Is it over? Yeah, that doesn't mean you didn't have a successful marriage. I don't regret either of my marriages. If it hadn't been for my marriages, I wouldn't have my beautiful daughter here. So I don't regret that. And not just because of that. I just don't regret it. I just can't find it in me to regret anything anymore. All of it is all things working together for my good. I mean, all means all. So I'm going to wrap it up today. I've already kept you longer than I meant to. My apologies, but y'all got to count me down, or otherwise I just enjoy these people so much I will keep talking to them. It's good, right? You know why it's good? Because I know you're getting it. I know you are, and I hear from you. Sometimes I quote you. Sometimes it's a little too personal, so I don't say anything, but I hear on a regular basis that you definitely are getting it and walking in it. Let's all stand. We're going to accentuate abundance. We're going to cultivate compassion. We're going to embrace endings. There's a lot of movies I love, but I'm always glad, I'm glad when they end. It's like, okay, well, I can watch it later, but I don't want to. I mean, I love The Color Purple, but I don't want to watch it 24 hours a day. I mean, I'm ready. At some point, I'm ready for Celie to see Nettie with the colors flying and cry and do the thing, and I cry my little part, and then like, good, we're done. I got to get something else done. I can't watch this all day. And we're going to forget failure. I know you got something out of this today. All right. Well, before we play the information about contributing, I just speak a blessing over your life, that you have ears to hear, that all of us, I bless your minds. I bless all those new paths that are opening up. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Health to your body, peace to your spirit, strength in your life. In Jesus' name. Amen. Just remain standing, please, and let's roll that info, please.
Contributing at Metron is quick and easy. Simply text the amount you'd like to contribute to 404-620-5044. Once you've sent the amount you'd like to give, you will receive a link. Clicking the link will take you to a one-time registration form. This will make the contribution process even easier in the future. Once you've filled out the information form, you will then see a successful registration and donation page. You can now give anytime by simply texting an amount to this number. To set up recurring contributions, log on to visionthenow.com and click Simple Give. We have more information on how to do this available for you in the back of the room. Thank you for your investment in Metron.
Amen. And thank you. If you are making a check, so make them to JESM, General Swilly Ministries. Danny will be back there to take that for you. If you have cash, I want you to go bless somebody with that. Pay it forward. Sometimes people bring the cash to me. They say, I want to bless you. Well, I'm somebody. Bless me. That's fine. You just know you won't get tax credit for it. You'll just get heaven credit. But And I love to hear that you're paying it forward as well. Don't forget Shantae is out there at the table. So go get her stuff. And I'll have announcements for what we're going to be doing next month. November is going to be a great month. But we add our amen to everything that's been said in the month of October. Behold, he does make all things new. Behold, we make all things new. We're walking in the newness of life. We're excited about this week. We're excited about the rest of this day. We anticipate good things. We go from glory to glory. We think of those things that are true and honest and just and pure and lovely and of a good report. You have the mind of Christ. You're strong. You're smart. You're attractive. You're powerful. You're intelligent. You make good decisions. You make good choices. You live in the now. You are strengthened with might by his spirit in the inner man. You have favor with God and man. And you wake up tomorrow saying, this is the day that the Lord and I have made. God bless you. Go in peace. Love ya.